All right, my final reveal video. And in this one, I'm gonna have a small box of PSA. And this is a giant box from CSG, but there's actually not a ton of cards in here. Um, I'll actually maybe start with the CSG order. One thing I'll say about CSG, the packaging is superb. Like that is a really cool setup for the packaging. This was actually a split order, so I submitted half the cards, the other guy submitted the other half. So I'm just going to go through the cards that I submitted here, obviously. A lot of these are going to be Virat Kohli's from the 2011 Cricket Attacks. This is a card I've been targeting whenever I can find it. And, various conditions. This one is a pretty typical condition of what you'll see when you look for these. In that kind of PSA 1 to 3 range. This one got a CSG 3. So you can see some damage on the back, but still presentable. Nice image on the front. So we'll start off with that. So we got a 3 there, a 4, a 3.5. And as I'm going through these, why would I submit so many of the same card? This really is, Virat Kohli is one of the most popular athletes in the world. In India, just an absolute mega star. If you look at his followers on social media, he's got millions. And just one of the greatest ODI batters of all time, one of the greatest 2020 batters of all time, a great test batter as well, and just a legend in India, which obviously is kind of the heartbeat of the cricket world at the moment. So when you can find these, this is a set that was very, very popular when they came out. But, kind of the same story as a lot of our parents and grandparents that have sob stories about their moms throwing their cards out. Even though these cards are only, 11 years old now, it's almost impossible to find unopened product. I know of only, a handful of people that have even been able to sniff it. And when you find the cards, most of them are in very used condition. So this was a game that kids would play. And very similar to, again, me hearing stories about my parents and my uncles and my grandfather, throwing cards and playing games with them. They all just got completely destroyed. That's what it was like in India with these cards as well as they played the game. So, finding one in a 4 is actually a really nice grade. 4 is going to have, very limited wear on the corners, no creasing. So, that was a nice one. A 4.5 is actually a really good grade. I want to say that 4.5 was the highest grade that CSG had graded before this one. So this is my best grade that I got back on the base cards. So happy to have a 5.5 now, and I'll definitely hold on to that one. Might offer 1 or 2 of these up for sale, but for the most part, I want to hold on to these. I think that they're a really, really good long-term hold. I think there's a lot of upside, really in the Indian market in general, and Kohli and Tendulkar in particular. So not only do I enjoy them for my collection, but I know that other people do as well. So happy to hold on to them until there's a good opportunity to trade for another card that I want, or a friend might want one, and I'll let go of it. So he has the base card, which obviously is well sought after. The insert version, which is the gold card, is much, much harder to find because there were a lot less printed. And it's definitely a ton harder to find in nice condition. So this is a pretty typical condition of the gold. I'm trying to show the different angles here. That is a, pretty damaged card. A lot of creases on it, pretty terrible corners, and some damage on the back. So, well-deserved poor grade, poor 1, but still a desirable card because finding these in any grade is nearly impossible. Next up, got a 2. And then, finding this one was actually really tough. And, I'll start with the back. So, this looks a lot more like the base cards with just a touch of wear down there and actually pretty nice corners on top. And then the front is pretty off center, but got a 4 on that, which was my nicest grade on a gold I'd ever had. So anyway, overall, happy with this stack. Those are all my Kohlis. Moving on, submitted some other cool stuff. The Gary Sobers 1971 Barrett, the Gold Flake. Got a 6.5 on that. Very sharp card. And I'd never submitted anything to CSG in this kind of era before, so I was pretty interested to see what kind of grades these would come back. I think this would have gotten about the same grade from PSA or from SGC. So yeah, felt like that was a fair and maybe even a little bit tough grade there. Next up, I actually submitted a Shane Warne sample card. So I submitted a few sample cards. This is the sample version of his Australian retrospective, which got an 8. And these are a lot more rare than the number version. So was happy that CSG graded it number 1, and that I got a decent grade, given an 8 on that. Submitted also a sample of my Ponning freshman card, just a dynamite, dynamite design on that, and that is the sample version. Got an 8 on that. Submitted a Brian Lara 375 card. This was number 73, and got a 7 on that, which I thought was a really tough grade. But what are you going to do? Sharp corners, just there must have been a flaw in that they caught. But this one was really cool. I'd mentioned this card in previous videos, but there were only, according to the Futera Bible, there were only 13 of these printed. This is the sample version, and I got a mint 9 on that. So I think that's a nice premium to a raw version of this. And from what I've seen, the raw versions of these can sell for 600 to 800. Obviously haven't been a ton of sales, so there's not a lot out there. But I'm happy to have a graded one. Next up, I submitted a numbered version of the Sachin. This is the number 1044 out of 2000. They actually mislabeled this, so I need to send it back. They put this as a sample. I think they did that because I did submit a sample, and it got a 9. So again, another pretty scarce card. Was happy, very, very happy to get a 9 on that. Now this is a cool card. Joe Root is one of the best cricketers in the world right now. Just put up some really big scores this past week, as he usually does. I think he's still ranked the number 1 batter in the world in Test cricket, and has the only guy that's going right now that has a legitimate shot at beating Sachin's run record. So as far as I can tell, this is the first card that any of the grading companies, the first cricket attacks card at all that any of the grading companies have given a 10 to. So that was really, really cool to get a 10 for a cricket attacks card. And the fact that it's Joe Root's only rookie card, that's definitely what I want to hang on to. I just think Root has a lot of upside, and just love him. He's a great player, and really excited about that. And then finally, from the CSG, this was a huge surprise. But my 85-year-old Don Bradman card, I got this one fairly recently, only within the last month or so. So it was much more recent than my PSA order. If I had had this when I submitted my PSA order, I would have submitted it to them. But I was submitting these to CSG and thought, why not? Let me see what they do with the vintage. And getting a 9 back is pretty ridiculous. So it is a fantastically, well-conditioned card, sharp to corners, no surface damage at all, really crisp, nice colors. Yeah, 9. So that was pretty awesome. And now for the final, this is the final leg of the reveal. I'm a little bit exhausted from it. There's been a lot of reveals here. It's a lot of cards we've gone through. But this is the final little box from PSA. Thank you for sticking with me, by the way. Hopefully you've enjoyed these. I've gotten some really great feedback from some folks. that really think that these are a lot of fun. So this last section here is going to really have some interesting stuff. It's going to have some different sports in it, some non-sports. So I'll start with the same set as the Mike Tyson cards that I had showed in the other video. This is Steffi Graf's rookie card, who was one of the great tennis players of the 80s and 90s. So getting a 9 on that was awesome. I wish I would have gotten at least 1 9 on the Mike Tysons, but I'm happy to get a 9 on the Steffi. Next up, we have a great golfer from Great Britain, Tom Cotton, or Henry Cotton. And this one is really sharp. I think it got the 6 because of the centering. But there's your Ardath Cotton card from 1935. Next up, Jesse Owens. This is the 1939 Churchman's. Only got a 2.5 on that, which was obviously not great. So one of the more disappointing cards from my order. Luckily, not a huge dollar card either way. So next up, probably the greatest jockey, or at least one of the top 2 or 3 greatest jockeys of all time. This is Gordon Richards, his 1927 card that I think is his rookie card. From what my research, I've not found any earlier cards. So I was really happy to pick that up in a 5. I will hold on to that one. I have no reason to sell that one at all. Next up, one of the greatest American tennis players of all time, Don Budge, and these are his 2 rookie cards. These cards are easy to find, but they're very hard to find in high grade. I thought this one was a really, really nice copy, but I think there's a couple indentations that might have dipped the grade down. But a card that I thought was going to get a 7 ended up with a 4, so it happens. And then another card I thought could have gotten at least a 7, if not an 8. This one got a 6, which not upset about. 6 is still a good grade, but I've actually got a couple of these I've picked up before in higher grades, so not too excited about that 6. But overall, getting a rookie card of one of the great tennis players was pretty cool. Next up, some soccer. Stanley Matthews, the Wizard of Dribble. That's his an early card, not a rookie card. His rookie's from 1934. We'll actually see that in a minute. This is the 1936 Godfrey Phillips, and he got a 5.5 on that. Here is a set that I've shown before. This is the 1935 Carreras, and that got a 5. My guess is it got a 5 because of the back being off center, because the front is really sharp. But that's an early card. That's a 2nd year Stanley Matthews, and love the oval. And I've got 2 Stanley Matthews rookie cards. The first one is the Ardath in a 6, which, with better centering, this one could have gotten an 8. I can guarantee that. It is a really, really sharp card that just is unfortunately off center, but really, really, really sharp card. Got this from a set that the whole thing was looked like it was just brand new. And then the other rookie card he has is the Carreras, and got that one in a 5. So was really happy with those grades, a 6 and a 5 for the Stanley Matthews rookies. Submitted a Dixie Dean, got a 7 on that from the Gallagher set. This was also from that same Mike Tyson set, The Question of Sport, got a Maradona in a 9. And let's see, one more soccer card. Alec James, I believe this is his rookie card. Got that one in a 6 from John Players. If this isn't his rookie, it's one of his earliest cards, so was happy to get that in a 6 as well. All right, so now on to the final leg here, final 7 or 8 cards. And these are all going to be non-sport. So when I say non-sport, these are cards, from the same era. There just were, cards that didn't feature athletes. They featured famous people from the era. First up, Princess Elizabeth, aka Queen Elizabeth, who unfortunately just passed away. This is actually her quote-unquote rookie card. She was very young when this was taken, but just a beautiful card. Got a 5 on that. Planning to hold on to that one, but was happy with that grade. Really, really sharp card. Speaking of first cards of little girls, there's the Shirley Temple rookie card. And again, I say rookie. I'm sure there's someone out there would maybe point to a different card, but a very, very early card from Shirley Temple. She actually has a lot of cards from the 30s, but most of them you'll find are going to be from 35 to about 38 or 39. This is a very early one from 34, so I was happy to get that in a 4. Jimmy Stewart, one of his first cards, got that one in a 5. That's the John Players. Also in a 5, the President Roosevelt Gallery of 1934. And this is the Mitchell and Son. Also from that set, I've got 2 more cards here. Queen Elizabeth again, another early card of hers. So this one and the Carreras are both from 1935. I believe these are her 2, quote unquote rookie cards. And then Duke Ellington, which I believe this is also his first card. There's also a Hitler in this set, which I thought about submitting, and I thought it's just too bizarre. It's actually the most submitted card in the whole set. So there's someone out there grading and selling and buying Hitler cards. But interesting history, especially having both Roosevelt and Hitler in the same set before the war. But didn't feel like getting that graded. So another really early card, maybe rookie card, Bing Crosby. And this is Bing from 1934. This is the Champions of Screen and Stage set from Gallagher's. Was happy with the 6 there. And to top it off, final card of this whole series, drum roll please, is going to be the Alfred Hitchcock rookie card. I actually picked this one up. You won't believe this story. So I picked this up as part of a lot of these Wix cards, Cinema Cavalcade. You'll see them marked as 1939. PSA marked this as 1940. But I got this in a lot. I just thought that the cards looked cool. There were some really neat subjects in there, and I was just interested in the different actors. I was thinking that this was a cool card, but when I did some more research on it, this is the first card from Alfred Hitchcock, who's considered maybe the greatest director of all time, legendary movies that still get remade today. So the fact that I got that as part of that lot, I think the whole lot was like $10. And, I know from other folks that have this card, this is worth a few $100 probably. So was happy to grab that and get that graded in a fairly nice grade, getting that 3 on that. So there you go. We went through about 220 cards in the span of these, whatever it was, 5 or 6 videos. Hit a lot of cricket, a lot of vintage, some newer stuff, and some other stuff. We got some boxing in there, some soccer, some surfing, some non-sports, a little tennis. So we really kind of hit most of the different sports. We even threw in a couple of American sports. We got some baseball and some football and some basketball in there too. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I know I liked making them. And we'll have some more videos coming soon. I've got some really cool vintage cards heading in from Australia and from the UK, and I think I've got an order coming in from India and from South Africa. So I'm definitely hitting as many continents as I can. Until then, thanks again.